Us versus them, one of the all-time hits of human psychology. We feel threatened, and us versus them makes it easier to hate our enemies and to pull our friends together. Useful when it comes to defending your band of fellow cavemen from a pack of saber-toothed tigers. And the same logic still prevails today when it comes to neighborhood opposition to development projects. Because when it comes to thems, evil developers are among the themiest thems of all. The ultimate outsiders, ignorant of your needs and struggles, scornful of your way of life, hell-bent on tearing your neighborhood to the ground and replacing it with their vile vision of the future.
Just awful. Developers circling like vultures. Talking about putting up apartment buildings,
Housing and jobs?
shopping
Simply
malls.
repulsive? Curious how they appear in the eyes of the community? Let's dive in. In the movies, developers are never really truly from here. How do we know? Because they want to change things, of course. If they were from here, they'd understand that nothing should ever change, because everything is completely perfect just the way it is. Like stickball in the streets perfect, hoedowns and square dancing perfect. Developers couldn't possibly understand.
You wouldn't even know what that word means.
Doesn't matter where here is from the Wild West.
And Jesus told me that made him an all right boy.
Well, she's still talking to Jesus. You know what worries me is that Jesus...
Aid to distant planets. No corner of the universe is safe from these marauding out-of-towners. Carpet-bagging elites. Vaguely foreign investment consortiums. Oil and gas magnates. You name it. If real estate is involved, you can bet some hopelessly alien force is behind it. It's like an if you build it, they will come situation. But instead of baseball-playing ghosts, they is every stereotypically menacing capitalist foe who ever stalked the collective conscious. Real ghost would probably be preferable.
You son of a bitch, you moved the cemetery, but you left the bodies, didn't you? You son of a bitch, you left the bodies and you only moved the headstone!
Even when a developer does have local roots, the movies make sure we don't see them as local.
Thought this was a club, man. What the hell is Nappy Cuts?
You never heard of us? It's a franchise, like the black man's answer to Supercuts. Got 10 locations nationwide.
Future Tech Industries.
He sure gives me the willies.
But you gotta admit, he looks good in a suit.
Gerald.
I know. I'm just saying.
Come on.
The message is clear. Even if you're from here, once you start trying to change stuff around, you no longer count. Remember in middle school, when you didn't get to sit at the cool kids' table? Of course you do. Well, this is just like that. Except, instead of the cool kids, it's the entire community that despises you, because you've gone over to their side. At least that's some consolation. Developers may be poor, heartless villains, but at least they have a few friends, right? Not so fast. Often as not, developers are shown whining and dining investors as if they need to trick people into backing their projects.
Thank you for allowing me to share a moment of your precious time.
There's really no business case here. Just sad, lonely people. Outsiders among outsiders. Contrast that with the us in these films. Invariably, they're tight-knit salt-of-the-earth communities full of blue-collar heroes, boldly standing up to tyranny and oppression as they fight for truth, justice, and the American way. Of course, all that nobility is standard issue for protagonists, no matter what kind of movie we're watching. But notice the emphasis on blue-collar here. Communities aren't just principled and righteous. They're also, maybe even more, defined by the fact that they're working class.
It is not a slum. Daddy, I wish you could see it. The same families have lived there for decades.
You never see wealthy people fighting against development projects, even though this happens in the real world all the time, often fighting against changes that might actually benefit working class people. Here's a rare exception, and it's probably only allowed because the evil developer himself is the leader of the opposition group. That's scumbag. But is this really surprising? After all, the point of these stories isn't to depict realistic conflicts, it's to simplify these conflicts. So, on the one side, you have us, hard-working, principled, committed to one another and to protecting our way of life. And on the other, them, entitled, vicious, out of touch, and utterly alone. It's almost enough to make you pity them, but remember, you're supposed to hate them. Don't forget that. As if you could, watching movies like these. These films send the message that developers are predatorial outsiders who couldn't possibly have anything in common with regular people. Is that what neighborhoods see when you approach them? Check out The Secret Formula to learn more and to learn what you can do about it. It's either that or spend your life alone.